Hi everybody and welcome back to my modeling channel. So today we're going to build a Lear 35 scale 144 from Stransky. It's a brand I never tried before, but I wanted to build this aircraft. So we have the boxes, and on the back of the box, basically, if you want to cut it out, basically you'll be able to get a threshold and put the plane on display. But I have my own, as you know. So let's open the box and see what we have inside. So as you can see, pretty straightforward, as the model is quite small actually. I have to say that. So let's move on to the kit itself. It's a very nice little kit. All the panel lines are engraved, but I have to say that, well, compared to the size of the model, the panel lines are quite big, but nevertheless, we're going to be able to do a little bit of weathering on that aircraft. So we have the fuselage, the wings are in only one part, so we're going to be able to glue them. You have some fans, some fans on the back of the aircraft. I think that's for another models. Tip tanks are in two half. The undercarriage is extremely small, and basically here are some others. The engines, very small kit, but still quite nice. We have some clear part, and the clear part, basically there are two of those. There is the windscreen, but I think I'm going to do everything in with decals depending on what I have. Now let's move on to the decal sheet. As you can see, pretty straightforward. So it comes up with the kit descriptions. You have the parts will be unusable for this kit, as there is some other version, and you can see that it comes with three different liveries. One is for the Swiss Air Force, the other one for DRF, German operator, and another one which is Phoenix Air, which is a civilian operator in the US. Now let's move on to the kit itself. So we have to build that kit, and it's mentioned that we need 5 grams of ballast, at least like this. The plane will not sit on its tail, and you have all the descriptions. So it's a pretty nice little kit, and I think it's going to be quite enjoyable. Now we can move on to the decals. Decals are very nice. As you can see, you have all the kits you need. You can also have the windows who are there, so which is also another good thing. And then you can even have the windscreen. So most probably what I'll do is I'll use all those decals. So enough of talking, and let's start building now. So we're gonna start in this build by preparing the fuselage. So initially what we are going to do, we are going to prepare all the parts. So we're gonna cut the fuselage and the tail and the nose wheel well, and then we're gonna prepare our parts. There will be a little bit of work to do on that, but nothing too difficult. Just a little bit of cutting. You have to be a little bit careful with the tail. Then we're gonna add some ballast on the front part of that Lear, as we don't want it to sit on its tail. Then I will add basically the wheel well, and I will put in between the fuselage, I will try to add some modeling paste just to bring the part into shape. Then we're gonna glue both half of the fuselage together, and then we're gonna let it cure, and we'll be able to remove all the extra modeling paste. I will use a clamp to until the glue dries out, and then we will add our tail, our T-tail. So we will now move on the engines. So I'm gonna prepare all the parts. We're gonna have to cut them all, and then there will be a little bit of a fiddling and adjustment part, and then we're gonna put the turbine and the fan together in the first half of the engines, and of course we're gonna close it and glue it together and let it cure. So that requires a little bit of fiddling and sometimes using some smaller tweezers, as the parts are, as you can see, quite small. So that's one of the advice, and I was using also magnifying glasses. After that, of course, we're going to try to remove all the gaps between fuselage and all the parts, and for this I will use some white putty from Tamiya, as on the white fuselage the painting layer is going to be easier later on. So that's what I'm going to try to do on this airplane. So we will remove all the gaps as well on the engine, and then we're gonna have to let it cure for a little bit. Of course, once it's dry, I'm gonna start to initially remove all the extra putty on the aft parts. I was checking if I needed some extra putty or not, and then I'm gonna move later on with the wet one, as that's gonna be a little bit easier for me, and it will bring us much less dust. So it's now time to add the wings to the fuselage, and as you can see, there is a little bit of fiddling, and but nothing too complicated. Then we're gonna continue working on the engines. So we will now start working on the windscreen, so the clear part, and there was a little bit of adjustment to do on that part, and I wanted to, as there was some gaps and I was not really happy, I decided to use the decals, but later on you will see the quality of those windscreen decals were not really as good as I was expecting. And honestly, I think next time I'll just keep a clear cockpit, and I'll try to make up also the cockpit, as the result was not what I was expecting. Or the best way maybe would be to paint a gray color inside the cockpit, inside the clear part, and then you would do some decals around it, as the decal were not that accurate, I have to say, unfortunately, but you will see that a little bit later on. So after removing all, now we're gonna remove all the extra putty we have on that windscreen, and of course on the junction of the wings and fuselage. We will now add the tip tank to the model, and that's also the perfect time to add our engines as well. So this is going to be the next part of the build. I have to say that so far it's an enjoyable model, but it's very small, so sometimes it requires a little bit more attention to details. So it's kind of it's really a cute little airplane. You'll see at the end with the pictures. We will now remove the extra putty on the engine mount and on between the tip tank and the wings. there was not a lot of gaps, so I used that grey Tamiya putty, and I have to say that it worked very well. So nothing too complicated, as you can see, just a little bit of time and patience and you get a pretty decent result. Now we're gonna add a little tail fin, or it's an anti-stall device as well, and then we're gonna be able to go to the paint booth. So for this I will put another coat of glossy white color all over the aircraft except on its tail. And I have to say that lately I realized that the curing time for those Tamiya clear coat or those Tamiya white, shiny white, normally the colors who give me the hardest things are the white color, the red color, the blue, dark blue. You have to wait a couple of days, sometimes even a week if it's and then you really have a dry paint, and then you can apply some masking tape. Otherwise you will have most of the times the mark of the masking tape on the paint. So that's one of the way, or later on you also can add a coat of clear varnish which will remove that. So after painting the tail in red, we're gonna remove all the masking tape, and you will see that during that process there were also some paint marks from that plastic bag I've been using. And then we're gonna start painting our anti-ice device. Basically the leading edge, the engine cowl, will be painted in that shiny metallic color, and for this I've been using a dry brush. As I have basically the aircraft, the model structure, I didn't need to put some masking tape on that. I could just do it with my bare hand, and that was the easiest way to get a proper result. We will now paint the interior of the engines, and then we're gonna move on to the anti-ice slips. And as you can see, I did a mark and I was unable to remove the paint. So what I did, I used a cotton bud, and what I did is I tried to remove as it was still wet, but there were still marks left, and there were some leftover from another paint. So what I did, I used some polish compound on those parts, and I have to say that it really worked very easily. I could remove everything. As you can see, there is no more mark of that metallic paint. So if it happened to you, just be aware that we can get it out without repainting the entire model. So that's something I just discovered on that aircraft, and I was quite pleased to be able to show it to you. So we will now paint the exhaust, and for this I use an exhaust color or a steel color from Tamiya, just with a regular paintbrush, and then we're gonna do it on the engine exhaust, and then we'll be able to move forward on the undercarriage. So we'll paint the undercarriage and the wheels, and then we're gonna be able to assemble them for the final part of the build. while the paint is drying, we're gonna move on now to our decals. So I used the decals straight out of the box. I have to say that they were pretty soft. They broke in few pieces, as you can see, so they were not that easily to handle. I was expecting something better. And then we're gonna position them with a little bit of time. I mean, nothing too hard, I have to say, but we could restore everything together. And then we're gonna be able to fill them, and then we're gonna add basically all the decals for the left side. And now when it's finished and everything is positioned, you dry out the decals and you can put some solution. We're gonna put the cross on the white cross on the tail, and then we're gonna move on with all the tail numbers and the logos and the Swiss Air Force decals and all these parts. Now we're gonna apply our cockpit windows, and as you can see, this is not really what I was expecting. I was expecting a more accurate decal, more realistic. Was quite disappointed on the result, I have to say, and if I knew it before, I would have just painted those cockpit windows in grey by myself. The result would have been much better. So if you are doing this model, just be aware of that. That's one of the sad part of it. If you like me preferring using decals, just be aware of that possible issue. So you can put any comments on the comment box below as well to let me know how you would have done it. But I know for the future ones, I'll be more careful on that. So that was the bad side, I would say, of that model. So now that the decals are drying out, we're gonna assemble our landing gear, and then we're gonna put it directly on the aircraft. And this is the final result of that Learjet 35 from the Swiss Air Force on scale 144. So I hope you enjoyed that build with me. If you did so, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you soon for another kit review and build video. Thank you for watching.